Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, and he spoke of middle powers and the need for middle powers to follow the rules of international engagement, to preserve sovereignty, to stand up in a way to those who are seen to be misusing their power. Do you see these middle powers playing an increasingly influential role, if at all the world is to look beyond the United States? That amidst this chaos, the middle powers, possibly including countries like India, which is poised to become the third largest economy in the world, becomes a stabilizing force. Is that something that is possible in this world, or will it be a G2 battle between US and China in the foreseeable future?
Because I view middle powers as having the potential to play a stabilizing role, and the middle powers are the ones that are most adversely affected by great power competition that turns destructive.
Give our viewers the examples of which countries you see within your definition of middle powers.
So India is a middle power, of course, and many of the Asian countries like Indonesia, Thailand could be there. I have started, although my European friends don't like this, I think of Europe as something of a middle power really, because it has the potential to be a great power, but given the fragmentation in Europe, it is really not punching at its weight. And there are, of course, the traditional powers like Japan and the UK, which have sort of descended to middle power status. But I think it is really the rising emerging market countries, India, of course, being the leader of the pack, and along with the other BRICS economies, particularly Brazil and South Africa, that could play a role. Now, they could, but the question is, are they going to be able to do this? And for that, they need to come together and have a common set of interests that they can push forward. Even within the group of emerging market economies, if you think about the BRICS, for instance, they would like to diversify away from the dollar. They would like to build a stronger relationship between themselves. But the one thing that is missing is trust. I think these countries fundamentally have very different visions of the world. They don't have much trust in each other. If you think about India and China, we've had border conflicts. There is this question about trade that overhangs the relationship. So I find it difficult to believe that these countries will come together. But that is certainly the hope. And Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney certainly articulated that hope. The key question is whether these countries can coalesce together. And I think that's going to be a challenge, but certainly there lies a hope. The world has shifted in ways that are not going back. And the concept of the doom loop is that economics, domestic politics, and geopolitics are stuck in this negative feedback loop. They're sort of bringing out the worst in each other. So we see in many countries the sense that, globalization did not work well for a large part of the population, while the economic and political elites walked away with the benefits. And that has affected the democratic process in the US, but also many other countries around the world. And that in turn has a feedback effect on geopolitics. So I think to break out of the doom loop will really take some very concerted action. And a country like India certainly has the ability to improve self-reliance, but that doesn't necessarily have to be inconsistent with opening up more to the world. I think India can build up its own industries, but the landscape has shifted. India needs to look for new alliances, new opportunities, but of course the key for practically every country is going to be strengthening domestic policies, domestic institutions, because you cannot rely on the rest of the world. And self-reliance really hinges on what you do to strengthen your own economy to deal with the inevitable shocks that are going to come.